We're coming to you live from the Village Full Tub Studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti, it's Boomer and Gio on the Fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network. And wherever you are in the free Odyssey app, good Monday morning. And yes, it is a good Monday morning. What a great weekend for New York sports. The Yankees, after a disappointing opening day, come back and take 2 out of 3 from the Blue Jays. The New York Mets actually win a series. You get a wonderful win by the Knicks last night over the Milwaukee Bucks. Hockey here with the Rangers and Islanders, both now steamrolling ahead to the postseason. You've got that. You've got college basketball, which is just nuts. Yesterday, it's going to be a huge number. I thought it was great that it was a 3 p.m. tip-off with the women's national championship game. Now we're going to get the men. But this was just, you walk in this morning after so many down weekends that we've had in New York sports recently to this morning where you're like, you know what? I can find hope in just about anything. Just about anything I can find some hope. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, man. You know, I feel it. You know, I don't know what it is, but I feel it. I feel something special.
Ooh.
There's something going on in my aura. And I don't know.
Aura?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think it may have to do with the eclipse and the fact that I'm an Aries and everything else.
You could feel it in your loins.
I could feel it in my loins, and today's a big day, man. And the fact of the matter is you're right. The Knicks, the Mets, the Yankees, the Islanders, and, of course, my beloved Rangers all had a great weekend. And I got to tell you, it's very rare that we actually are able to come in during any of these sports seasons and sit here and talk about teams that won. Because I got to tell you, on Saturday watching the Met game, I was so disgusted that I was texting with Ronnie Darling. And I was
of course you were.
I said, Ronnie, let me ask you a question. There are 17 things that have happened in this game that I've never seen before, and they were all committed either against the Mets or by the Mets.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that they end up winning 2 out of 3 out there in Cincinnati. And maybe Francisco Lindor's waking up. Maybe Giancarlo Stanton's waking up. And there's a lot of good things. Maybe Chris Kreider's waking up. Maybe Mika Zibanejad's waking up. I mean, it's actually an enjoyable Monday morning.
It really is.
And it's Eclipse Monday.
It is an Eclipse Monday. And, of course, we are not in the path of totality. It's amazing how many people are confused about this. Like here in New York City, Long Island, New Jersey, it's not going to get dark. And the stars are going to come out. That's not what's going to happen around here, but everybody seems to think that's what's going to happen. It's not. That will not happen here. There is a path of totality that goes all the way from, Texas all the way up through the plains up to upstate New York and all that, but that's not going to happen here.
You got to be in Syracuse or Niagara Falls if you want to see totality.
Right. If you'd like to see totality.
I'm not about totality anyway. I'm just, the fact that it's happening and the fact that people are so excited about it. And a lot of weird things. We have an earthquake the day, we leave on Friday, we get an earthquake.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, what were you doing during the earthquake?
It was actually, everybody
you were driving, weren't you?
Yeah, and I was so confused, and I felt like such an idiot afterwards because I never thought earthquake. So I'm sitting at a light, and my car just like ever so slightly is going back and forth, and I'm like, what is this? So I knew it was windy outside, and sometimes when it's really windy, you could feel it like move your car. So I'm like, wow, is it that windy? And then I look at the pedestrians that are walking in front of me, and none of their hair's blowing around or anything. I'm like, what is going on? So then I look up as a glass building to my right, and I see like reverberations in the glass. And now I'm thinking, all right, something strange is going on.
Yeah.
So then I see a Con Ed truck on the corner because I'm looking around, and I'm like, oh, they're just doing work underground. Some guy's got a jackhammer. That's got to be what is going on here. And I just drove away, didn't think anything until the phone blows up. Earthquake. Then I put on 10-10 winds, and you would have thought that the sun had collapsed into the earth.
Yeah.
What was going on. It was so funny how big of a deal they were trying to make. I think that they were disappointed there were no fatalities. That's what it sounded like.
They were like,
everybody's safe, everybody's healthy. Damn.
And all the bridges are okay, and all the tunnels are okay?
Right, exactly.
All right. I'll share something with you guys.
Yeah.
I didn't share it with anybody else, so this is the first moment.
Time?
First moment.
Yeah.
I was actually on the toilet when it happened.
Oh, wow.
And I could feel it because you know how the toilet is, it's anchored into the ground.
Yes.
And you could feel it. And I'm like on the toilet and I'm shaking. Kind of helped a little bit. then immediately I get onto one of my threads and I go, did I just feel an earthquake or did I imagine things?
Yeah.
And then Randy, who's over in New Jersey,
Right.
My nephew Randy, he was relatively close to the epicenter, and of course, all hell breaks loose. And I was like, man, you got to get out of the city because think about it, you're on Manhattan, you got tunnels and you got bridges.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, a DOT or somebody's going to be like, okay, we got to go look at these things and make sure everything's okay.
Yep.
And we're going to shut things down and we're going to take a look at things.
Thank God. Yeah, I still hadn't gotten over the Williamsburg yet when this had happened.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the first things that was on my mind. The second that I heard that it was an earthquake, I was like, my God, I have to get, not that the bridge was going to collapse. It wasn't thinking that. But they're going to shut
it
the
down,
city down, and I'm going to be stuck in here on a Friday for the entire weekend in the same place. And I'm going to have to call you up and stay at your place somewhere. I was just like absolutely freaking out. And then finally, once I got over the bridge, I was like, all right, I'm good.
Once you get out of town, it's okay. You feel okay about it. Yeah, not bad. But anyway, back to sports. How about this women's basketball phenomenon and how all of a sudden Caitlin Clark, well, not all of a sudden, she's been doing it for 4 years, but really the last 2 years, has put women's basketball squarely right there in the front of everybody and everybody enjoying it and looking forward to watching her play and her play against LSU, her play against South Carolina. And I have to say, not only was she what I consider a big winner through this whole thing, but the other big winner through this whole thing is Dawn Staley, the coach of South Carolina. I mean, she had a deep team, and that team they're going to be good. They're going to be good for a bunch of years. But what she said after the game about Caitlin Clark and how she kind of diffused all this vitriol out there in regards to this young woman who is just an incredible basketball player. She sees the basketball court like Larry Bird saw the basketball court. She passes like Larry Bird. She makes plays. She gets rebounds. She can hit threes. But very few people see their sport the way the real true superstars see the sport. She's not flashy. She's just incredibly, just sees the court. She has this natural thing about her that the top players like Steph Curry has it. Kobe Bryant has it. Michael Jordan had it. Larry Bird had it. Magic Johnson had it. They see the court differently. They see it better and more clearly than anybody else. And a lot of times she'll throw a pass and her teammate will have a hard time handling it because they can't believe that the pass is coming to where it's coming to. So it's unfortunate she didn't get her national championship, but her legacy will stand the test of time as one of the, if not the greatest single college female basketball player of all time.
Yeah, I watched a lot of this yesterday. The fact that it was on at 3 p.m., tipped off at 3 p.m. was perfect. You didn't have to stay up at 9 o'clock tip-off like you get with the men's college basketball. The thing I couldn't understand, though, was some of the hating that was going on leading up to this game. And I guess Diana Taurasi and Sue Bird, who were two legendary women's college basketball players and pro college basketball players, both were asked, who would you take, Caitlin Clark or Paige Beckers? And both of them like, oh, Paige, we're moving on. And they kind of dismissed her. And then there were some other people that had some negative things. I don't understand why. I mean, is it a jealousy thing? I mean, the fact that Caitlin Clark was the person to put women's college basketball in a place that had never been in, and they weren't able to do it with their greatness, so they resent her. I don't understand.
I think there's a couple things going on here. There is one, those girls went to UConn, so they're going to support Paige Beckers and Juno Auriemma and their program, and their program is basically what all programs aspire to be. By the way, so you can understand. I understand a little bit of that. There's a little bit of homerism in that. I just think that Dawn Staley said it best. She carried college women's college basketball on her shoulders, and for that, I thank her for putting us on the map. For what there have been other great players too. There's been a lot of great players, but this player in particular just is a different player. She I just went over and compared it to some other players that I think had the same abilities that she has. I don't know if it has anything to do with the fact that she's in Iowa And you can't believe that this Iowa girl who stayed in Iowa, and she gets a lot of commercials. She's all over the place. She gets a lot of play. She's the AP Player of the Year. And, so I saw some people ready to, her legacy is not going to be fulfilled unless she wins the national championship. Her team played 6 girls yesterday, and Dawn Staley played 9. And Dawn Staley has a bunch of freshmen, she calls them freshies, that are tremendous basketball players in their own right. That, Iowa, I think, just ran out of gas, if you ask me. And you watch the way that South Carolina plays. They are tough. And that they are Dawn Staley tough. And she said it after the game. She thanked Caitlin Clark, but she also completed a remarkable 38-0 season with a team that she said that, early on she wanted to retire because she was so frustrated with them. And it turned out to be, I'm sure, it will be the highest-rated basketball game of all time for women, beating out the UConn Iowa game on Friday night. So,
well, I mean, I think it has to be. Plus, a Sunday afternoon is sort of the as you know, in the NFL, the Sunday 4:00 window is the most watched. I think Sunday afternoon is just a perfect time for people to sit down and watch TV and watch sports. But her going to the WNBA now, it's not going to be nearly as exciting. I don't think that people are going to be locked in and following her career like they were now. I think the special nature of college basketball and the tournament and all of that. I just, you see all these celebrities that are showing up to these games, and you see, is Jason Sudeikis going to go to all her WNBA games now too? Is Dave Portnoy going to show up and watch her as a member of the Indiana Fever? I mean, probably not. So if she can't put the WNBA in a better place and more popular, then nobody will be able to. I just think that, with college basketball and these other storylines that have happened, Caitlin Clark has been, she's the epicenter of it, and no pun intended with the earthquake stuff, but she's in the middle of it all. But you got this South Carolina team that's undefeated. You got Angel Reese over here. You got UConn and Paige Beckers and Gino Auriemma. So there's a lot of stories,
star power,
right around the they're revolving around the sun that is Caitlin Clark. So that's why I think it was so popular. I couldn't tell you. I don't think that the Sabrina Ionescu Caitlin Clark rivalry is going to put the WNBA in a place that it's never been. Right?
The WNBA was smart. They built a super team here in New York. They played over in Brooklyn. They win the championship. They beat the Vegas A. I think they beat the Vegas
No,
Aces.
the Vegas won. No,
Vegas won. Vegas won. Okay.
You remember Mark Davis was celebrating and dancing?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
So, but the point being is that they built this team in New York to be able to go up against this Vegas team because they're in the middle of contracts now, TV contracts. And all of that is going on behind the scenes. And now with Caitlin Clark coming to the WNBA, you would think that, now all of a sudden they have stars that are coming. And this is the kind of Angel Reese is coming to the WNBA. This is the kind of stuff that, could really help the WNBA sell and be able to negotiate from, like an angle of strength, if you will, because they're bringing in these new young stars. I would like to think that the WNBA players who have struggled all these years to get this place to legitimacy would appreciate that kind of, help. The other thing too, I was thinking about when people are coming out and talking about Caitlin Clark and she's going to have a rude awakening when she gets to the NBA and everything else. I say the same thing about guys like Caleb Williams, guys like Zach Wilson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. It's not going to be, it never is easy. Unless, of course, you're C.J. Stroud. Then it seems like it's easy. But, it's always going to be hard when you start going up against grown women, grown men, that kind of thing. So, man, I don't know. I was a little disappointed she didn't win yesterday, but I also understood that South Carolina has a great team, and they should be celebrated as well. So, hopefully it works out for them.
Yeah, I mean, I stopped in at a Sayville lacrosse fundraiser for the girls' lacrosse team yesterday, held at the Portly Villager. So I went in, made my donation, my local donation, and guess what was on every single television in there?
That women's basketball.
Yeah.
100%.
Single
No
TV.
Yankees, no Mets, no nothing.
Every single TV.
Going back and forth.
Now, it was a girls' sports fundraiser. That had something to do with it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was, and people were absolutely locked in. So that's always a gauge for me, like what the local feel is, and people were totally into it, and I was entertained. I sat there and I I told Gina, I said, I can't believe, I don't think I'm ever going to say this ever again, but I can't leave because I'm locked into this women's college basketball game. I will be back in about 10 minutes because I got to see the way that it ended, and then South Carolina pulled away. But it was fascinating. So that's just one of the many good, fun storylines this morning. Jerry Recco is going to bring you all of it coming up in just a couple of minutes with his first update of the morning. It's Boomer and Gio.